Okay, now that we've got the portal frame set out along all the grid lines, I'm going to start to set up some of the fascia facade elements on this building. We'll start with some concrete tilt-up panels, and I'm going to alternate some concrete tilt-up panels. They'll be 3.6 meters high, and they'll go alternately between separate portal column bays. So we'll close off this section through here, and we'll close off this section through here. There'll be something else going on down towards the back of the building, but over the other side of the building here, once again we'll alternate concrete tilt-up panel, open bay, concrete tilt-up panel, open bay, so on and so forth. So, starting back on this corner again, I've created a few new layers, so I'll open up my layer dialog box here, and I'll get you guys to create these new layers. We want a layer called tilt up for the concrete tilt up panels, a layer called walling, roofing, and another layer called curtain wall. And when you've created those layers, we'll just make the current layer tilt up. So we'll be starting to draw some elements on the tilt up layer. I'll just grab my rectangle tool now, and I'm going to use a little bit of a trick. These concrete tilt-up panels are going to be 150 millimeters thick. I'm actually going to purposely draw them 149.8 millimeters thick, so I'll be a little bit, 0.2 of a millimeter, short of the real width. And the reason for that is that when I assemble this, I'd like to assemble the outside surface the correct distance away from the portal columns, which will be 150 millimeters, but then by doing it the way I'm suggesting, there'd actually be a 0.2 of a millimeter gap in the model between the concrete tilt-up panel and the column. You won't be able to see that by eye, and in fact if I even dimensioned the 149.8 millimeters, if I set the rounding of the dimensions to the nearest millimeter, it'd still dimension to 150 millimeters also, but the difference being there'll be a tiny gap there which would enable me to triple click on the concrete tilt-up panel to select it in its entirety without selecting other elements that it might be joining. So with that in mind, I'm in the my current layer is tilt-up, and I'm in the rectangle tool. So just for the now, out in space somewhere here, not connected to anything, I'm going to draw a rectangle, and just like I say all the time in SketchUp, you can actually just sketch something roughly the right proportions, and then after you've sketched it you can come away and type the real dimensions. And the real dimensions in this case, I'm just going to start with some length of the wall, which would be 3000, comma, for the other direction, 149.8. So I've now created a rectangle 3 meters long by 149.8 meters wide. I'm going to pull that up by the height of the wall. Once again, I just let go somewhere and then type the real distance, which I want to be 3600. So I've got this 3600 high concrete tilt-up panel now. I want to position that so it's exactly 150 millimeters off the set out lines. So I'll go and grab my tape measure, and with my tape measure I'll come from this set out line in the green axis direction and do 150, enter. I can then triple click my concrete tilt-up wall and move it from somewhere on this outside edge to somewhere on that set out line that we've just created. So in alignment it is now correct in the alignment of the plane of the wall, so I probably don't need this set out line again. I tend to get into the habit of, as soon as I've used these set out lines, start getting rid of them, because they will start to get in your road. Now with that, what I'll do next is I'll do a sail past detail on these concrete tilt-up columns. I'll actually sail the concrete wall about 200 millimeters past the center line of the column. So once again, I'm grabbing my tape measure. I'll do a set out line in the red axis direction this time of 200 from that place, and I'll do one 200 back here. And what I'll then do is I'll simply push-pull the length of the wall now to the correct locations that I want, and that would be to that 200 millimeters past dimension, and then this one, this push-pull would go to that. So I've now got a concrete tilt-up wall that is 200 millimeters past the center line of the setouts of the columns, 3.6 meters high, and it's a 150 millimeter concrete tilt-up wall, but I've actually detailed it, modeled it to be 149.8, so there's a tiny little 0.2 of a millimeter gap in this sort of location here. And like I said, the reason I've done that is now if I go to the select tool and if I was to triple click on this wall, it picks up the whole of the wall, but because there's no attachment to the columns, it's actually just let me pick the wall without picking the columns. Just a little bit of an aid to set out. I'll just clean out, like I've said, these set out lines that sailed past 200, and I've got my first concrete tilt-up wall in place. So I will triple click that, and I will then, with using the move tool, but change move to copy by pressing Control, so we're now in the copy command, I will go from somewhere on this grid line, click, and as long as I'm making sure I've got a red rubber band, and the best way to maintain that red rubber band is now to press and hold the Shift key. That'll maintain that, that'll constrain it to the red direction, and then I'll click on this set out line, and once again I'll press the Control. I'm still in the move command. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm finished there actually. So what I'll do now is I'll go and grab my tape measure, go to the other side of the building, because we can just copy those walls. I'll do another set out line off here, coming out, and that was going to be the 150 thickness of the wall. So that's the outside surface of the wall now. So I'll go and pick up both of these, I might as well, I think. So I'm triple clicking, holding down my Control key, then triple clicking again, and then I should be able to then make a copy. So it's the move command. I'll zoom right in on this corner and make sure I get end point. I don't want to get on edge because that's 0.2 millimeters away. I really want that end point there. But before I do the move command, I press Control. I'm now in the copy command. The little plus sign tells me that. And I go from that end point, and I want to move that over here, but I want to constrain it in the green axis direction. So when I get the green rubber band, I'll press and hold the Shift key. So I'm now constrained in green, and then click on that line. Okay, so that should be right now. I should be able to use my eraser to clean up that set out line, and I'll do a few more of these copied back to the back of the building. So I'm triple clicking, and then I'm copying. So it's move with the Control key, and I'm going from online, constraining it in the red axis direction, to online, another one, so Control key again, somewhere on there, constraining in the red axis direction to somewhere on there. And we've set out our concrete tilt-up walls. So I'm going to do a bit of a save there. At that point, we'll stop the video, let you catch up to that point.